Knitting Game and Other Stuff. I'm your host, Leslie, and today is August 15th, 2012, and this is episode 28. So, first off, I hope everyone had a great week last week, and I hope you all got a chance to vote. For those of you who are new, welcome, and thank you for joining me. And for those of you who have been with me for a while, or even just one episode, thank you for coming back. It really does mean a lot to me. I guess let's get started with some housekeeping. So, if you're interested in seeing any notes or links to vendors or patterns that I'm doing or projects that I'm working on, make sure you visit my blog, myordinaryjourney.com. It's all one word. There you'll find all the show notes and some other things like my shower notes. And this is going to be the show of ums. I can feel it. I'm waiting for my daughter to get home from band camp, and she gets done at 5, and it's 4:30 right now. And I imagine if I don't get this done in time, I'm going to have this horrible Russian onslaught of people just traipsing through my living room, which is right off my work room, and it'll be loud with dog barking and everything that comes with it. But that's neither here nor there. First off this week, I would like to take the opportunity to thank our 2 new members for joining our Ravelry group. And we have Yes I Am, that is Susan. And then we have Christian Crafter, and that is Tiffany. So ladies, welcome and thank you for joining our group. And Tiffany, she actually went ahead and introduced herself on the introduction thread, which was really nice. I guess we haven't had folks doing that, and I kind of forgot it was there. So that was kind of nice to have somebody post something to that thread. So we do have a few birthdays this week. First off is Miranda Smiles, and that is Miranda. And then CC Knits, that's Carolyn. And then Knitting Mary B. So Mary, happy birthday. Again, ladies, it's always nice, so I wanted to say thank you and happy birthday. So, my question of the week this week is kind of inspired from my own dealings, as all of them are. Not only do I knit and spin, but I dabble in sewing. I've been thinking about quilting. I think today I made the decision I'm just going to jump in and I'm going to try weaving as well. And it's kind of interesting. I bought actually my second spinning wheel. The first spinning wheel I had, I made. And it was a bunch of PVC pipes and drills and bike wheels and all sorts of drive band experiments. And it wasn't a real treadled wheel. It was more like a grate wheel, but you could sit and you build up the twist in the wheel, and then it would spin off the tip of a spindle, which I made, and it was on its side. So that's how that apparatus works. So I think I'm going to do the same with my first loom. I'm going to construct a back strap loom, which is the type of loom that is traditionally used down in South America. And I will have links, and I'll show you all my progress with this endeavor. So I don't know, I might have some bookmarks or bracelets or something to start off with. I don't know. We'll see how it goes this weekend. It's going to take a trip to Lowe's, but it'll be fun. So the question of the week is, what other fiber or fabric arts do you guys do other than the one that you mainly identify yourself as? So I would say I'm a spinning knitter, a sewing knitter. I would classify myself as a knitter first and foremost. So are you a knitting spinner? Or are you a spinning sewer? I know it can get all of, throw weaver in there. I felter. There's so many quilter. I know you're out there, folks. I know. I see you guys out there. I know. So what other fiber or fabric arts do you like to also do besides your main identifying one? So that is the question this week. So last week, your question of the week was to ask me some questions. So this is going to be the answer of the week. So I had a few posted and I picked two really good ones, I think, which everybody usually asks at one time or the other. So the first one is, how do you start knitting? And that is a really interesting question. It was December of 2002, and I decided, I was sitting on the sofa, and for some reason the thought just struck me that I was going to learn how to knit. I learned how to crochet and single chain when I was a kid, and for some reason the mechanics of 2 sticks and a piece of string to create a piece of fabric just really I had no clue. The process was very magical to me. So I decided, and this was about a week before Christmas, that I was going to learn. So of course I do what probably most of us did when we first decided to learn, is I ran right out to Walmart and I bought a whole big bunch of sticks and some string, not even realizing there was something called gauge, and that different yarns needed different needles. Yeah, I was all sorts of messed up. Certain yarns are better for other things. So I picked up this really fluffy, almost kind of like really chunky chenille type yarn that's for like baby blankets or something. And I decided I was just going to start with a scarf. So I started on YouTube and I watched a lot of YouTube videos, and when I got stuck, the first person I went to talk to was my niece, my 13-year-old niece at the time, I believe. 2 years ago, it would have been her birthday. 14. She was 14 at the time. She taught me how to properly increase and decrease, knit and purl. So I watched it on YouTube, and my niece Haley, she pulled it all together for me, and that's how I learned to knit. And it was really just all in line. And I would say that I was a fearless knitter because I would look at a pattern once I found Ravelry, and I decided that these patterns looked really neat, and if there was one that I liked that I wanted to do, I did it, and I didn't give any thought to how hard or easy it was. I just jumped in and worked on it, and if it didn't work out, then I'd start over again, or I'd put it away. But I always approached every new thing as a new opportunity to learn something new. So that's how I got started knitting. The next question is, what knitting events or retreats have I attended, or am I planning on attending this fall or in the next year? As a matter of fact, back in March, no, it was in April, I attended a knitting retreat hosted by Doghouse Yarns and More from Culpeper, Virginia. And it was a knitting retreat out in Graves Mountain, at Graves Mountain Lodge in Syria, Virginia. And it was a beautiful day, and we learned about the history of old world sweater knitting, so the ganzes and the different types of sweaters and the different construction techniques and what characteristic made some sweaters a certain sweater and versus another. And that was really interesting. And then we had a little workshop on stranded color knitting and properly picking colors and how colors work together or against each other when you're doing color work. So that was my retreat that I did back in April. This coming fall, there is a spinners retreat also hosted by Doghouse Yarns, and that will also be out at Graves Mountain. And then it's not a retreat, and I will be attending the festival, but I'm going to be out at the Virginia Fall Fiber Festival in Montpelier, Virginia, and I will be one of the demonstrators for the spinning. So it's a small but growing fiber festival. It seems like I've heard that every year it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's not Maryland sheep and wool by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a really, I think, good-sized event, and it has more than just sheep. They do have sheepdog trials at the festival, but you can see rabbits and llamas and alpaca and all fibery goodness of the animals. You can see and experience what they're like. There's oodles and oodles of vendors. They're very education oriented, which is really nice. So a lot of workshops for the kids, a lot of lamb, so there's a lot of food, and it's a really great weekend. So and it's out near Orange, Virginia. It's kind of centrally located, and it makes for a really great day. Now hopefully it won't rain and it'll be a little bit cooler, because I'm wilting this summer. It's been horrible. Today has not been so bad. But anyway, so those are my answers for the week. If you would like to ask me a question, you can do so as a comment on the blog, as a comment on YouTube or Blip, or you can post it. I have a thread. It's a sticky thread in the group forums. Just go ahead and smack a question up there, and maybe I'll get to answer it. Alrighty, so on to the knitting game. Why everyone showed up. Anyway, I'm doing a lot of this to the camera today. I don't know why. It's been a weird, long day. I'm coming down with a cold, so I have a sore throat. My voice is scratchy. My son is watching me from the door. He's trying to keep the dog quiet. My husband, it's been just a nutty traffic day. It's been crazy. So, he wants me to pitch his YouTube channel, which I have no idea what his username is, and it's all Call of Duty videos. So if you happen to really love Call of Duty, I'll put up a link. And that should just thrill him to death. I'll put up a link. You can go see his Call of Duty videos if you are so inclined. He's a nut. 14-year-old boys. Alright, so the reason why everyone is here. I started a new round or evolution of the knitting game last week, and it was round 1, and this particular knitting game is going to focus on the free patterns that I have saved on Ravelry, and in particular the free shawl patterns. Now last month, or I guess it was just a few weeks ago, I whiz-banged out my petal shawlette, which was one of the previous knitting game winners, and I really enjoyed that whole process of the lace and the shawl and watching it come together and grow, that I decided that I would stick with shawls again. So that's what we're doing. So for round 1, we had the Haruni by Emily Ross, and that was being put up against the Gamian Bird by Natalia Shaw. So the winner of round 1 of this knitting game, the Ravelry free pattern shawl knitting game, is the Haruni Shaw with 74% of the vote. So that's pretty, that was a 20, that was a good solid showing. You guys really liked that one. So now for round 2. If you're not familiar with how the knitting game works, I pick 5 patterns usually. This time it's 6 because I just couldn't make up my mind, and that's what I have you guys for, right? So I picked 6 different patterns. Each week 2 patterns compete. Whichever pattern wins moves on to the next round, or the next week, which is the round, and it goes head to head until we get to the end, which is in a few weeks. So the winner of round 5, because I'll have 5 rounds. I'm sorry, I'm so confused today. The winner of round 5 will be the shawl that I will knit for you guys. So anyway, the Haruni shawl will now be going up against, this is a mouthful, but this is a pretty one. It's the Easy 100th Anniversary Camping Half Circle by Mawa Knit. Now, Easy Elizabeth Zimmerman, it was the 100th anniversary shawl, and Mawa did a line of these shawls in honor of the 100th anniversary. So, some interesting factoids about the Haruni and the camping shawl. The Haruni is a triangular shaped shawl. Now, all of the ones that I picked for this round of the knitting game, I tried to pick all different shaped shawls. So they're all shawls, but they're all different shapes. So the Haruni is triangular, and obviously the camping half circle shawl is half circled. The yarn for both shawls is, they both call for fingering weight. The Haruni calls for size 4 or 3.5 millimeter needles, while the anniversary shawl takes a whopping 8 or 5 millimeter needles. Those are some big lace yarn overs. The Haruni only calls for 408 yards of yarn, while the camping half circle shawl actually could take up to 850, so almost double the yarn requirement for the half circle shawl. I really like the half circle shawl. I like all of the shawls now. I'm having a ball with them. So, and you'll see why in a minute. I'll show you. I got a surprise for you guys. So, voting for this knitting game will wrap up at about 3 p.m. or so on August 22nd. That's a week from today, Eastern time. So, please don't forget to vote. It's an interesting game, and follow along. And I do try, if you've had the opportunity to look at some of the other projects that I have done for the knitting game, I do try to take copious notes and really express my thoughts and feelings in the pattern that you can go back and reference on the Ravelry project page that I have associated with it. So, updates. Let me put this down. I finished the petal shawlette, and I went back to working on the Sayuri sweater. I am happy and or sad simultaneously to announce I have scrapped the socks. No more stalagmite socks. I'm sorry. I know if you guys were really looking forward to that, I have to apologize. Either you love it or you don't, and life is too short, and I wasn't loving the socks. So I'm going to frog them probably this weekend and use the yarn for, I don't know, maybe a shawl or maybe another pair of socks. I don't know. But anyway, what I wanted to show you guys today was my Sayuri sweater, and this one is coming along swimmingly. Let's see, I am in the middle of a row, so unfortunately I cannot unravel it and show you guys how far I've come. I am not quite finished with the side like I'd hoped. I have an excuse for that. Please excuse me here. So here you can see I have all of my little stitch markers here on the side. Each stitch marker is an increase. I have to do a total of 23. I believe this is 18 right here, this top orange one that I just did today. So I'm not far, and they go very quickly. And I know I said that I would get there last week, but I picked up a new knitting game, or no, not a new knitting game project, a new project. So let me set this over here. I guess I should just turn it around that way. So, moving on to the other stuff. That's the only knitting game project, now that I frogged the socks, that's the only knitting game project that I have outstanding. So what else have I been working on that has been taking up my time? Well, for my knitting, I have had no stash enhancements this week. I've just been concentrating on a project that I started. I recast this on last Wednesday after I got done recording. I decided that I loved that petal shawl so much. I was going to go back and revisit the very first shawl that I started way back, maybe at the beginning of the year, could have been around Christmas time. I don't exactly remember. But I had gone through the setup section of the shawl, and then I had finished one of the repeats of the body pattern, and then I was like halfway through, or just kind of almost beginning the second set of repeats. And it wasn't going well. I put it down because I thought, oh, I can't knit this in the car. This is not going to work. So I was just going to work on it at home. And then Christmas time hit, and I was Christmas knitting, and it didn't get any love. And then when I went back to it on Wednesday, it was horrible. I had made notes, but they didn't make any sense. And I had stitch markers, and my stitch counts weren't lining up, and it was horrible. So I frogged it. I wasn't too far into it. I had about 18 lifelines for about 18 rows because I was definitely afraid of dropping stitches or whatever, or making mistakes. And I think by knitting that petal shawlette, it gave me the confidence to just kind of power through it and fix my mistakes on the fly, and learn where the pattern was going and how the patterns worked, and what to expect to come next. So I want to show you my progress. So this so far is what I have completed of my 10 in 2010 shawl. It is a free Ravelry pattern, and obviously this will look much better blocked. I don't know how to stretch it out. The stitch pattern is I love it. And this is the middle, so you can see it started with a garter stitch tab, and I love how it has this little top edging to it, and it is just coming along beautifully. This is 4 repeats. I'm in the middle of the 4th repeat right now, and I am like right in the middle of it, so it's coming along great. And it's one of those ones where the pattern's only on the front, it's just purl straight back, so that makes it really easy. So some of the details about this one, the yarn I'm using, and I hope the color comes out, but this is Madeline Tosh Prairie. It is a lace weight yarn. It's about 840 yards for the hank, and this is in the Baltic colorway. It is absolutely beautiful. My husband bought this for me, I believe, for either our anniversary last year or my birthday. I think it was my birthday. He bought me 3. He bought me the one in the Baltic, he bought me the Oxblood, and there was another one. But this blue color looks an awful lot like, surprise, surprise, they're almost, yeah. I really love this color. And it is funny because I've been going back and forth between the shawl, and knitting on the sweater. The sweater is on size, I want to say 6 needles, maybe size 8. Size 8. So the Sayuri sweater is on size 8 signatures, while my shawl is on size 4 Chow Goose. So, and the yarn, this is a worsted weight, and this is a lace weight. So it's kind of funny, you get kind of that muscle memory in your hands and in your fingers and everything, and you expect for it to feel one way, and then it feels a different way. It's a little disconcerting sometimes. You kind of forget what you're doing, and you're like, oh, I'm knitting on the shawl, that's why. Okay. So anyway, that is my knitting. Real quick on my spinning, I have two different spinning kind of projects going simultaneously. This one is the wool gatherings. This is the superfine merino, and I'm trying to spin it pretty superfine. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I just kind of like the idea of spinning it super fine. And this is what a little part of the braid looks like. It's purples and pinks with like a little touch of white here and there just for some depth. But it's very nice and pretty, and I don't know, some nice calm colors, but very bright, and it's very soft. The other project that I'm working on, I actually went up to one of my friends from my guild. She has a weaving studio, and she throws pots. So I went to her studio on Friday, and we sat and we spun on Friday. And this is my club shipment. This is my Polwarth and Silk from Gail's Art. And it was the tri-dye club final shipment, and it is almost, it's kind of funny, a lot of similar colors with the wool gatherings with the purples and the pinks, but this one also has some splashes of brown and like an orange almost, so some really neat colors. So some greens are in there as well. And what I'm planning on doing with this one is I have it separated. I got my scale out and I separated it into 3 equal sets of fiber. I don't care how I'm going to spin it. The color repeats, I'm not concerned with that. I just wanted to get the fiber as consistent as possible on the scale. I'm trying to spin it as consistently as possible, and what I'm going to do is a true 3-ply yarn, not chain plied, not Navajo plied, but a true 3-ply yarn to see what I get out of it. So it's a learning experience. It's just a bunch of fun. So that was my spinning. Okay, so other stuff. The other stuff. We have a window. I am in my workroom with an actual window. I need a new screen, but that's fine. I don't have plastic wrap up on my window anymore. So yay, this will be the final storm update from the derecho back in June or July. I don't know when it was. It was forever ago. I have my window. I'm very happy. It's the small things. And one quick request: if you are an indie dyer and you would be interested in a project that I'm working on, please contact me on Ravelry and I'll give you some details and see if it's something that you would like to participate in. I'm working on a special project, and I am super duper excited about it, and I hope that you guys will stick around for a while, because I'm not going to announce what it is for a while, but I'm in the early planning stages and it is coming along even better than I could have imagined. But I do need your help. So if you're an indie dyer, give me a quick personal message there on Ravelry and get back to me, and I will send you some details and maybe we can talk. So if you know of an indie dyer that you'd like me to get in touch with, go ahead and PM me that too. I might even put a thread there. I did put a thread there. If you know an indie dyer, if you are an indie dyer, put yourself on the thread on the forums and maybe we can talk. So I guess that's all I have for this week, and I made it in under my daughter coming home, or my husband coming home, or anybody coming home, and the dog didn't bark. So we have a win today, folks. I feel very, I made this blouse. I actually wear what I sew. I think it's funny. I'm working on a pair of pants, shorts for my niece right now. That's what I have. My camera's on my cutting table. my work table. So yeah, anyway, all right, so that's all I have this week. Don't forget to vote. It will close next week on the 22nd. 2 new patterns to pick from. We'll probably pick yarn after we pick the patterns, the way things are going. I like this pace. I can keep up with it. I don't feel claustrophobic or overwhelmed, so that's great. So again, thanks for coming. If you have any questions that you want to ask, just put them up on the forums. If there's anything you want to chit chat about, go ahead. I'm on several different social media avenues of approach, so I'm one of those people that I'm pretty much plugged in everywhere all the time till I go to bed at 8:45 and then all bets are off. So, all right, everybody, have a great week. Don't forget to play the game. Bye.